Well, welcome. Thank you for joining me inside the Men's Den. Really excited for our conversation today. How I kind of want to start, I want to start talking about the commission and talking about the creation of the commission. So, Congresswoman, could you just share a little bit of why you started the commission and why that work is so important?
Well, the commission is a dream come true. And the commission addresses all the disparities that affect black men and boys. And it's historic. It's historic because it is the only independent agency in the federal government established to address black people's issues, and as black men specifically. So this is a bill that I filed when I first got to Congress, and I filed it year after year because I understand and I know what black men need and what our country was not doing. And the bill passed after the murder of George Floyd. And it passed because the consciousness of this nation came together to say, we need to do something. So it passed the Senate first, and then they pulled it out of committee in the House, and then we were able to send it to him to sign into law. But the commission, I call it a think tank. A think tank where members of the Congressional Black Caucus and other appointed members are to sit down and come up with solutions to address the disparities like health care, education, finance, fatherhood, all of the issues that impact black men and boys, dropout prevention, the criminal justice system, mental health, drug addiction. So many issues impact our black men and boys. And as a people, if we don't wrap our arms around it and understand it and do it, we will never, never conquer our place in America. We just can't without strengthening that black man in America.
I mean, that's so powerful in hearing that story, and it makes me think about where does that passion come from? Like, why, when somebody asks you, why are you so passionate about black men and boys, where does that come from for you?
Well, I was a school principal. And as a school principal, I had a school that was 1/3 African American, 1/3 Hispanic, and 1/3 Anglo. And my little black boy stuck out like a thumb. And I used to get to school real early so that I could hug each one of them so that they could be good boys all day. And I began to wonder, what was it with these boys? I said, why won't you do your homework? Why do you talk back to the teacher? Why won't you listen to your mother? And then I began to do home visits, and I found out that it was a huge problem with fathers, daddies. They didn't have a role model in their lives. And because of the way our nation has framed and set black men on this path, so many of them were in prison and in jail. And so I called in all the men that I knew that I went to high school with, my sorority sisters' husbands, my link sisters' husbands, and I said, you've got to help me with these boys. Come to my school, help me. And they came, and when they came, and we loved those boys and lifted them up and talked to them and hugged them, and we put them on some long sleeve white shirts and some ties, they changed. They changed right before my eyes. So I said, this is the key. So then I went on to the school board. And when I got on the school board, I represented the entire Dade County Public Schools. And I set it up in all of the schools. And the little black boys changed. It was so different because they found a place where people appreciated them, who loved them, who lifted them up. And so I want to say to you that I've sent more little black boys to college than any movie star or anybody I know of. And they are all successful men all across this nation. There was some up with us last night.
Yeah.
I have 3 Capitol Police walking around here every day. They came through the 5,000 Role Models is 32 years old.
I love that, and I love the transparency there. And I think about I'm not a father yet. I look forward to that, getting married and being a father. But when I watch my friends, I feel like over the years black dads and black fatherhood has grown tremendously, right? And like the most active dads. So I would love for both of you to share what are misconceptions that you want to demystify, when it comes to black fatherhood.
We actually had a briefing last year on fatherhood from a professor from Temple University who did studies. And we also are aware of a CDC study that black men are more involved in their children's lives than any other race of people. And you think about it now, when you go to the mall, what do you see? You see a black man holding a child's hand. When you pass through a neighborhood, who's outside shooting the ball, throwing catch? That's a black man. You don't see that if you pass through other neighborhoods. It's the black father that's more likely to bathe their children, to feed them, to watch TV with them, to have conversation with them. Other fathers are busy, building businesses, etc. Statistics have shown us this. So we're trying to find a way to uplift these black fathers and dispel all these stereotypes that they're putting out there, that the black father is absent, the black father is this. It's not true. Just like the congressman said, black fathers are uplifting their children more than any other race of men. And it's been proven in so many studies.
And I love that, and that makes me think about, so last month, May 1st, I was here for the congressional hearing on black men and boys around mental health, and so I want to talk about that a little bit and why that's important and a priority. You're both there, in terms of pushing that forward and making sure that's a priority and people are talking about it, the importance of black men and mental health.
It's something that kind of, sometimes I kind of think about black men, and when they wake up in the morning and go outside, it's almost as if they have to put on a coat of armor because it's so many arrows pointing at them. And that is how our society has been set up since slavery, since we had the slave patrol, which evolved into the police. So we have to find a way to give our men an opportunity to have good jobs, to have education, give them hope, give them a way out instead of, I call it prevention and not detention. So what we say in the 5,000 Role Models is, don't build a jail for me. Prevention, not detention. And so I believe in picking up little boys who are 8 years old, 6 years old, and teaching them how to be good boys, how to pick good friends. Peer pressure is there. And so many little boys go on the wrong side of the track because of peer pressure. They don't necessarily make the best. Life is about choices. And so black men who have been stereotyped in school, in society, who have had the door slammed in their faces, people cross the street, when they see them approaching them, they get out of the elevator. When they get in the elevator, you stop at a street corner, roll up your window, there's a black man on the corner. Hold your purse, Margaret, hold your purse. This gives black men the feeling that they're worthless. So this commission, with these briefings and with your help and partnership and with the congressman and all of the Congressional Black Caucus, we're trying to lift up black men and give them hope, give them a place in society just like everyone else. They're at the bottom of society. This is the perception that America has created around this black man. And I sometimes wonder how they make it every day. I have a son and 3 grandsons, and I worry about them every day. I have 2 daughters. I don't worry about them But my son and my 3 grandsons, I worry about them because I served in the state legislature and I saw bills, legislation that came through the Florida legislature that were specifically for black men and boys, to lock them up and throw away the key. 3 strikes, stand your ground, you name it, stop and frisk, all towards black men and boys.
I pride myself on, in terms of the Black Men Can, we've been around since 2010 and the work that we're doing. And it wasn't until the celebration of Black Men at the White House, I was fortunate to be a panelist, that I learned about the commission. And I find myself somebody that knows everything about what people are doing. And so part of that, that's one reason why we're here. We get to tell this story, because my North Star in our work is I want to go into a barbershop and I don't want to be the one, another brother's there talking about it. Oh, did you hear about that commission? You know the work that they're doing, the publications that they're producing. So what's another way to, your thoughts, to continue to share this message, right, around what's happening? Because right now, when you ask a black man, he might say, the government really doesn't do anything for me. That's what you'll hear in the barbershop, which is not necessarily true, but we don't necessarily
it happens
have the
every
story.
day.
So.
Commissioner Carter is leading the charge on mental health. Everybody in America should know that. And that voice needs to be elevated through the White House, through the Senate, through the House, and people need to be talking about that. We wouldn't be talking about black men are not going to vote. They don't feel that they are included. That should not even be the conversation because of what the work that we're doing here in Congress just on their behalf. They don't even know about it.
This notion that if you have mental health issues, if you have anxiety or depression, that means you're crazy or something's wrong. You're only crazy if you're not doing something about it. Listen, are you crazy if you have a headache and don't take an aspirin? Take an aspirin. If you have high blood pressure, diabetes, exercise, change your diet, take medication, get better. But somehow we think if we have mental health issues, it's just going to go away on its own. Listen, if there are 10 people in a room, 9.5 of them are dealing with something. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's okay to not be okay sometimes. But we have to end this stereotypical view that mental health is something to be ashamed of. No, it's not. Listen, we live in a very difficult world, and particularly black folk who have been the hunted and haunted. I've got friends of mine who are white Americans who like to jump out of planes and ski it from the top of mountains and climb high mountains because they're chasing that adrenaline of stress. You know what I tell them? I'm a black man in America. I feel stress every morning I wake up because of society. But we control that, and we can together change that. Listen, the system is set up to discourage the very things we're talking about. It's set up to make black men feel less than. The George Floyds of the world, the Trayvon Martins of the world. We can't let those deaths be in vain. We have to demonstrate that we're with you. You're not alone. Listen, I'm a member of the United States Congress. I've got 2 sons, as I mentioned. You know what I tell my sons? If they're pulled over by a police officer, stay cool, man. Just make it home alive. We'll fix it tomorrow. Now, in a perfect world, I should tell my kids, stand up for your rights. Challenge if someone is saying or doing something incorrect. But then they get the skull split. I can't put your head back together, but I can fix it tomorrow. So we have to tell our children, make it home alive. And then we, Congresswoman and so many others, will be there standing in the gap to change the laws, to prosecute the violators, to make things that are wrong right, to make sure our children are able to live. Something wrong with our society when police officers feel so bold that they think they can hunt our people. That's what this commission and the work that's started by this incredible leader is about, creating solutions, changing norms and stereotypes.
We have a forum coming up with Reverend Sharpton on mental health, and Commissioner Carter I'm going to make him carry the water for that one too. Yeah. We're going to do it in New York, and it will be on his show. And we are working. I was speaking with him today about it, and we have to stay in the forefront because we can have these briefings, and no one knows that we're having these briefings because it's just you just found out, and you just happened to be at the White House with us when we had that briefing. But suppose you weren't there. Mm-hmm. So this has to be a conversation that we talk about. And I keep saying to the White House that the president needs to elevate this, just how they set up the what is the drug initiative?
Yeah.
White House on drugs. They need to do the White House on black men and boys. Mm-hmm. And that would solve their problem with this whole conversation of these Gen Z people, young black boys, young black men, saying they're not going to vote. And we need to do that beginning today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy Father's Day, everybody.
That's right. That's right.
We're gonna do our part at the Black Man Candidate to make sure mm-hmm. that we continue to push. And so something that I'm also really interested in just asking, and you know, as doing the amazing work that you're doing, leading it, and how do you actually find, I don't know if the word is balance. I don't even know if balance is the right word, but how do you find balance or integrate between being politicians leading policy, but also just being parents, right? And how do you navigate that and find some balance in terms of just doing that?
They're one and the same. Believe it or not, being an effective policymaker or being an effective parent is very similar. You wake up every day and you care for the people that depend on you, whether it's your children or the constituency. We wake up every day trying to make it better, to guide, to be guideposts, to be role models, to provide for. I wake up every day to make sure my kids are doing well, to make sure that they've got what they need, to make sure that they have a society that accepts them for who they are, and to provide them every single tool that they need to succeed. That's what a father does. But that's also what we do as members of Congress on a much broader scale. Whether it's policy, discussions like this, using our platforms, it's all about making the world a better place. Whether it's healthcare, making sure that we're not just building jails, but we're having prevention instead of detention. I love it. Yeah. Making sure that our young people know that they're loved, they're gifted, and that the potential is endless. Making sure they're protected and they're safe in their own skin, that they're proud to be black people, that they're proud not to look down on anybody else, but to be proud of their own heritage and culture. Mm-hmm. If we don't teach them that, we should not have our children looking at other images of success and thinking they can't attain it. Yeah, they can. And role models, listen, this notion we don't have enough role models. Role models don't have to be the stereotypical Superman or basketball player or billionaire. You know, role model could be Mr. Joe, who worked 2 jobs all his life to send his kids to school. Never had any formal education, but had what my grandmother would say was mother wit. Some of the smartest people I know never darkened the door of a university. Mm-hmm. So this definition of what a role model is, good, decent, honest, hardworking people that raise their families and get up when they're knocked down over and over again. That's a role model. And when we define our own role model, you find out we got lots of them in every single direction, whether it's the school teacher, the principal, or the janitor who had a kind word to say and a story or an epithet of how you can succeed for one of our young people. That's a role model. And we have to endeavor to get that message out, be it in our homes or in the halls of Congress.
Mm-hmm. Congresswoman, for you, how do you find the balance of leading all this amazing work, but also being a mom?
Well, I guess you could say I lead 2 lives. So I'm a congresswoman, and then I guess you could say I operate a world-class mentoring program for black boys. And my biggest worry and concern, even though I have the best relationship whatsoever with the police, in my district, in the state of Florida, all over, is that tension. The tension that exists between black men and the police. And that tension has been there since slavery. And that's why the slave patrol was created, and that's why police were created, because of that black man. And so every morning that I wake up, even in Congress today, I was on the phone raising money, not for my reelection, but raising money for the class of 2025. I've already raised the money for the class of 24, and they're gone to college. They graduated Sunday. So when I say I lead two lives, sometimes I'm missing. And they're looking for me, and they say, Frederica's with those boys. I go to court at least once a month with some black boy who is, without me there, would go to prison. And I go to stop it, because our criminal justice system is overwhelmed. Our public defenders, they don't read the charges until it's the day of the court. So I've read the charges. I know what's going on. They try to make them take a plea. And so it's a lot. And so when I say prevention, that's what I see the commission as being, a place where we come up with solutions so that we don't have to cross over to detention. In my state, we have 33 prisons. 3 are female, the rest are black men. Okay? So this is something that we have to fight on a daily basis. To me, that's the number one issue. And I think we fight for, policemen with the George Floyd bill, but I think, Commissioner Carter, I think that, and we call each other commissioners because we're on this commission. So don't think I think he's a commissioner and not a congressman. But it's it's in the heart, and you have to ease that tension. So we have boys role playing with police. In fact, I passed a bill this session where I'm going to be bringing up 60 boys, 4 groups of 60 boys and police officers for the commission to show how we ease that tension. So when they stop this black boy, they don't see him as a heathen. They don't see a 15-year-old as a criminal. They see him just like they see their own white son. Yeah. See, that's what I do. So you can say, my name is Frederica Prevention Wilson. I believe, don't build a jail for me, prevention, not detention. So what I do, and what I want this commission to do, is to interrupt the school to prison pipeline.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And yeah, the school to prison pipeline is a very real thing. We did a conversation not too long ago, and it was with re-entry. So it was men who were formerly incarcerated and now are very successful entrepreneurs. And the one young man, he said he was on this trajectory that he was on from first grade when he got put in special education. He got misdiagnosed. He had dyslexia, and they misdiagnosed it. And so then he was put into this particular school, and then he was fighting every day, and it just continued to spiral from there, right? And so 26 years in correctional facility to come out and now be able to live his life, but it started when he was in the first grade. So definitely want to interrupt that.
You
have
have
to.
And when you think about that, that is so important what you just said, because our kids are misdiagnosed, over or underdiagnosed. We are relegated to the small classroom where expectations are lowered, where we say, oh, we don't expect much of you because you're not very bright. Instead of finding out maybe the child is dyslexic, maybe they're ADHD, maybe they just need a hug. Maybe they just need a little extra attention. Love. Maybe they just need a little more love from a principal, like this outstanding principal, who saw something others didn't see. And I have a bill that's going through Congress right now that deals with people that are lactose intolerant. Do you know that 80% of African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians are lactose intolerant, meaning their bodies cannot process dairy. And so what happens in the school system? You go to the classroom, you get your lunch, and what do you have? You got a carton of milk. And oftentimes that's all you have. So that baby guzzles that milk down, goes to class, and now he or she, their bellies are bubbling. They got to go to the restroom. Teacher won't let them go, right? Think about the impact it has on your concentration, your ability to learn, your ability to be in that classroom, be productive when you're holding it in because you don't feel well, because you're feeling poorly. Now that may seem like, oh, well, that's major. And then that sets you on the same trajectory of the young man that you spoke of. Because early on, someone said, you can't, you won't, you can't succeed. And then you went out to prove it right. The reverse is also true. If I tell you from the beginning, you can succeed, you will succeed, you must succeed, you likewise will prove me right. We have to product in, product out. And we have to continue to feed our young people and make sure that they're not told early on or somewhere in their life that you can't succeed. Just as easy as they believe the naysayers, we got to make sure they believe the yaysayers. You can succeed. You will succeed. I don't care what your odds are. I don't care where you came from. I don't care what your dilemma is. I don't care how many mistakes you may have made. So you shoplifted. So you smoked some weed. So you did something wrong. So you got an early conviction. Guess what? We can turn it all around. And it's never over until you quit.
That's right.
It's never over until you quit. I like that. That's a tweet right there. You know, it's a quotable. Something I'm interested in because I'm clearly not an elected official, but I know that there's the media, and the media will run stories, right? And then as a parent, right? How do you navigate when your family has to read things about you, just as a politician that you know are not true, but it just gets out there for whatever reason? How do you navigate that?
Let me tell you this. I don't know whether you all know about this, but Donald Trump came after me. Are you aware of that? With my children, my family suffered. I mean, it was when you are an elected official, you live in a glass house, a glass bubble, and whatever you do, whatever you say, however you carry yourself, it affects your family. So when he came after me because I spoke up for a Gold Star family who he insulted, and he called me a liar, and I called him a liar and told him to go to hell. And then John Kelly came back after me, bringing up something about, I asked Mr. Obama for $10 million to build an FBI building. Me building an FBI building. All of these were lies. So when you are an elected official, you automatically put yourself in another category of scrutiny. What you say, what you do, how you walk, how you talk, how you look is criticized and scrutinized by everybody that's watching you. And they put us on a level that you have to be sure that you make the best decisions, not only for your constituents, but the best constituents for your family, because your children have to go to school. In my case, my grandchildren have to go to school. My grandson's basketball coach doesn't call him Tristan. He calls him Congresswoman Wilson's grandson in front of the whole school and everybody. So you carry a lot on your shoulders, a lot of weight, but that's what you have chosen to do. So if that's what you have chosen to do, you've got to accept what comes with that choice. And that's what a lot of politicians don't understand. You've got to accept it and bear the brunt of whatever is thrown at you. That's why I said black men are the same. When they get up in the morning, they have to put on a coat of armor because society has so many arrows pointed at them. And it starts in the state legislatures.
If it were easy, anybody could do it. To whom much is given, much is required. And this system of attacking elected officials, particularly African American leaders, is systemic and it's strategic. It's to discourage the voices of those of us who are willing to speak truth to power. It is designed to silence us. If you challenge Trump, we're going to come after you. And the soon as we set back and don't do it anymore, then they've succeeded. But if you attack Frederica, Troy's coming up to defend her. And when you attack Troy, Stephen and Joyce will come to defend. And we have to come to each other's aid. And then we demonstrate that we are not afraid of you. And we know that you're going to attack us. And we know you're going to say bad things about us. And as the Congresswoman said, you know who it affects more than anything? Our families. Because we're in this business and we choose to be in it. And we understand the risks that are involved. But our families are subject to the ridicule, the criticism, and the bad press that sometimes is forced upon us for doing our jobs. But we wake up every day and we do it. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. And if good people stop offering themselves for public service, what will that leave us? There are more and more people say, oh man, I'm not going to run for office. I don't want my business in the street. I don't want people criticizing me. I don't want to be accused of this. I don't want to have to pick up the newspaper. I don't want my son or my grandson or granddaughter to have to hear that trash. But guess what happens when that happens? Good people stop offering themselves for public service. What happens if Frederica Wilson had said, man, I don't want people criticizing and dragging my name through the mud. My kid has to play basketball. 5,000 role models wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be sitting here today. And all the countless lives that she's touched, lives that she's changed, lives that she's nurtured, lives that she's put on the right path, who, guess what, then touches and promotes somebody else. And the ripple effect, there goes. One person can and does make a difference. And we have to stand up to the schoolyard bully. We have to stand up to the critics who will try to silence black voices. And we have to uplift and highlight organizations like yours. Why are we spending time on this podcast? Because you're doing a great thing, and we're using it as a platform to talk about that. And then we use what you're doing to make sure that we amplify the voices of all the fathers out there that are doing the right thing, to demonstrate to those who say they aren't that they're a liar.
As we come to a close, I know we're coming to time. What's like one last message that you want to share, right? We have 1 million followers on Instagram. Lots of people are going to see this conversation. What's one last thing that you want to share?
Take what you've seen today. Take what your organization does and don't keep it for yourself. Spread it. When you hear someone saying something in the barbershop, that challenge them. Tell them about what you're doing. Tell them that there are people that care, and then enlist them to be a part of it. Utilize social media to talk about the great work of 5,000 role models. Tell them about that there's a Frederica Wilson who had the audacity to care about young people, and then she watched it make a difference. She watered the plants, and she watched them grow. And then she watched the seedlings of those plants drop into the ground and grow some more. That's what we're talking about. Highlighting your efforts, having the energy, the resources, and the commitment to be in Washington today to talk about an issue that far too many people ignore.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Bless you too.
We're so happy. As we approach Father's Day, we're going to be asking tomorrow in our Congressional Black Caucus meeting that everyone take to social media on Father's Day and honor a father in their community. So those of you who have social media platforms, do that on Father's Day. Think of all the fathers, like the commissioner talked about, the men who lived on his block when he was a little boy, and all of the men in the church who help you, and post a picture of them and say, thank you for being a dad for the community. Don't forget your own father. Post about them. And I think as a community, we need to uplift our black men because everyone has their foot right on top of them. So we've got to use this Father's Day. We said as the Commission on the Social Status of Black Men and Boys that we were going to own Father's Day. That belongs to us. So we're going to, you'll see many postings. You'll see Commissioner Carter posting his church members and his Kappa brothers and all the different people. And he's into prevention of mental health and the caring of that. And you'll see me posting about little boys and my Capitol policemen who I told you about, and my county commissioners and my mayors and my college presidents who came through the 5,000 role models. You'll see me posting about them. So that's what we want to say. Thank you for coming today to my congressional office, and thank you for helping us spread the message that it's time to uplift black men and boys. We even declared it as the year of black men and boys. And it didn't even retweet it. So we have a long way to go. We're just starting, and thank you so much.
Well,
we
definitely.
appreciate you.
We're going to continue to amplify the message, working with the commission, and thank you for taking time to be on the podcast. You're actually the first woman to be on the Men's Den, but it's only fitting that you are the first woman to come in and share, because again, our North Star is really to spread the word. When I met Malcolm, I said, hey, I want to push this, right? Like that fact that I didn't know, but I spend time in barbershops. I know we have a lot of black men who support and follow the work that we're doing. So the more we can spread it and push it out there, my research is around social emotional learning. That's what my research is in. So and like mental health. So want to continue to push that as well. So excited.
Well, listen,
thank you again.
ALC, the annual legislative conference,
Yep.
will have sections on mental health. Essence Festival will have issues on mental health. My fraternity, we do regularly issues on mental health. This is something that we are committed to, not just sometimes, but all time, demonstrating as a real issue, as your passion, taking your story and using your platform to talk about it all over the country. And we appreciate you.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right.